Welcome, and thanks for spending a part of your busy day with us. No industry more than healthcare understands the value of a dollar and how critical people are to the success of your organization and the lives of your patients. We're going to be sharing recognition insights and ways our clients are attracting, recognizing, and retaining a multi-generational workforce of nurses and other professionals. But before we jump into it, I'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Lori McKnight, and I'm the Vice President of Recognition for CSISTARS. A big part of my job is researching and developing recognition resources that companies use to make it easier for their managers to recognize others. And this is really important because managers are really key to perpetuating and creating a culture of ongoing appreciation and a positive employee experience. 50% of employees cite leaving the organization because of their manager, and managers affect up to 70% of your employee engagement scores. So equipping your managers with tools that they can use to motivate their employees is a big part of a good recognition strategy. I'll be presenting today along with Jim Bittner. Jim has over 30 years of recognition rewards experience, a lot of it in the healthcare sector. So Jim, maybe I'll hand it over to you to say a few words about yourself.
Well, thank you, Lori. And as Lori noted, I have over 30 years of experience in an industry that I absolutely love. It's just exciting to be able to help companies as they address culture, as they address engagement, as they address employee retention, other types of, key business issues that recognition can positively impact. And again, we're not going to get into all the different studies that are out there that validate that. And again, we'd probably be preaching to the choir on that. But we are going to get into, a number of different attributes about healthcare, about recognition's impact on employees. And in the end, we're going to ultimately show you a recognition approach that enables you to touch every employee from the day they start until the day they leave. It's often cost neutral in terms of what you're spending today, as an example, on your service award program. We're not asking for net new dollars, if you will. And in the end, it also provides you some very strong analytical tools that will assist you with evaluating managers as we and you help them become better practitioners of recognition. It's important to know, on what level they're actually, embracing and engaging with recognition. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Lori, and we're going to get started.
Super. Thanks, Jim. So over the next hour, Jim and I will share with you our experience and learnings in 4 key areas. We're going to first talk about 2 big industry shifts that are affecting hiring and retention in every industry, but really affecting healthcare significantly. The second is we're going to outline the different motivators of your 4 generations of employees, specifically focusing on nurses. And then we'll suggest 4 low-cost, actionable ways that you can up the recognition in your organization right now, things that you can take back to the office right away. And then the 4th, we'll wrap up by sharing a real-life client story of a 24,000 employee health network's service award recognition program that has increased everyday recognition for them with all their employees without increasing their budget 1 cent. So we'll get going. So there's 2 industry shifts affecting almost every HR professional and affecting every industry today, but these shifts are even more pronounced in healthcare. And the first shift really relates to a focus. We're moving really from a focus on standardization to one of personalization. In today's digital world, you just have to open your browser or turn on the radio to see and hear ads that are customized to your stage of life, to your needs, to your preferences. You listen and you'll hear words like tailored, personalized, designed for you. We've really moved into this age of personalization. And this is very true in healthcare as well, where your patient's medicine, their treatments, their care, and their payments are all personalized to their needs and situation. So we've moved from an era of hospitals being measured on providing many services as efficiently as possible to one of value. Now hospitals, as you well know, are measured on your patient's experience and their health outcomes, while you're still having to deliver services efficiently with an eye on costs. And this puts incredible tension and pressure on you, your employees, and your leadership. This individualized care is the present and it's the future. It's not going anywhere. And so like your patients who are coming to expect personalized programs, your employees really respond to personalized ways of recognizing their hard work and contributions. Healthcare in particular has very, very diverse patient population, as well as your workforce is very diverse. And so organizations that understand what motivates these different groups and treats employees as both people and performers will be those that will be in a much better position to attract and keep your skilled talent. So the second shift, I mentioned diversity, and this segues nicely into the second shift that you're seeing in healthcare, and that is changing and aging demographics of your patients and your employees. And this is causing some real challenges. And when I started researching this more, it was actually worse than I thought. You're looking at, as you know, we all know, an increasingly aging population. You're seeing more experienced nurses retiring at a really high rate, and you're seeing a shortage of new talent coming into the market with the qualified skills that you need. And then, as I mentioned, the diversity of your workforce and your patients, just the age, but also just nationality and cultures that that are coming in for care, and those that are a part of your employment. So our society, as I said, is getting older. They're getting older at a greater growth rate than ever. Individuals 65 years and older, over the next 35 years, that growth rate will be 42 to 208% growth, compared to individuals under 65 years of age who will be looking after those seniors, that growth rate is only at about 12%. So if you look at it from a caregiver perspective, there's about 7 caregivers for every 1 individual aged over 80. And by 2050, there will be 3 caregivers for every 1 person over 80. So there's going to be more people and less people look after them, and this makes it really challenging. And HR's response to this talent crunch will shape healthcare delivery in communities across the country. So I want to provide a little bit of a glimpse into nursing, because no professional will impact and feel the effects of these 2 industry shifts more than your nurses. Nurses comprise over half of a hospital's workforce and provide the bulk of the day-to-day care. They're critical to your patient experience and your health outcomes. And a study by Medcan, a Medcare study recently reported that patients get well faster and are less likely to return to the hospital if their nurses are engaged. Supporting that too, a Gallup study of 200 hospitals found that nurse engagement level is the #1 variable correlating to mortality in a hospital. So nurses are really the biggest factor influencing how patients rate your hospital, and they're critical to your organization's financial health. So all of these reasons make recognizing nurses a really top priority, especially given the need to hold on to your older experienced nurses for as long as possible. On that topic, so we're going to look a little bit at the demographics of the nurses in the workforce today. So, as many of you are likely very, very aware, the aging demographics is affecting the supply of nurses more than any other industry. 50% of nurses are reaching retirement age by next year, and 55% of nurses are over 50 years of age, which is scary. And while more nurses are entering the workforce, schools just can't seem to keep up with the demand for this talent. So so more nurses will be retiring than will have qualified candidates to succeed them. And those nurses will be, older nurses will be taking their knowledge, their skills and experience with them. The other thing that's happening is that we're seeing more demand for nurses due to the increased number of long-term care facilities that there are coming up, being open to care for the wave of seniors that are entering, these that are needing care. So that's creating competition for the same talent pool. In addition, home care is a booming business right now and is also competing for the talent pool. According to a U.S. Bureau of Stats, 2/3 of seniors need moderate to significant care with their activities of daily living, and this puts a lot of pressure on the sandwich generation of people that are trying to manage looking after their parents as well as their kids, and relying more on home care services to help them out. And what we're seeing too is that some of the more experienced older nurses are finding that working for long-term care and home care organizations is quite attractive in a number of ways. It's more flexibility, less weekend and shift work, can be a less stressful and fast-paced environment, and so hospitals are having to compete with those organizations to hold on to and recruit nurses into their hospitals. So because healthcare organizations are faced with this current and deepening skills gap, it's requiring HR to get really creative and come up with strategies that not only attract new nurses, but also retain your experienced nurses and in particular your millennial nurses from leaving your organization for greener pastures. And hospitals are coming up with, having to come up with creative ways, just like startups lure, talent. You have to come up with some creative ways of luring talent, maybe without the big dollars that the Silicon Valley companies have to attract young people. But some of the ways that we've seen organizations, hospitals changing their policies is they are really focusing on creating a purpose-based culture and a culture of appreciation to stand out from the competition and to make themselves attractive to those millennial young employees, as well as hold it as a positive work culture for those individuals within the organization from any generation, really. They're offering more training and lateral advancement. They're encouraging more work-life integration, and they're recognizing and rewarding their employees more than ever. So we're going to talk about those 4 points going forward. But in general, overall, how they are doing those 4 things, it's not a one-size-fits-all standardized approach anymore. As I talked about earlier, we're in an age of personalization, and so organizations it isn't cutting it to have standard policies that will resonate with every generation. You really do need to get personal and understand the motivators of the particular individuals within your 4-generational workforce. And while every individual is different, there are common attributes based on the stage of life that, when recognized in your policies, in your programs, and by management, can significantly improve retention. So we're going to look at some of the different motivations of a multi-generational workforce, things that will motivate individuals within the new entrants to the workforce, the Gen Zers, your millennials, your Gen Xers, and your baby boomers. So let's start off with baby boomers. And Jim, feel free to pipe in as I go through this if you have any other points to make. But one of the ways that you can really try and hold on to those baby boomers is by emphasizing the benefits that are attractive to them, to individuals who are close to retirement. The bigger thing is actually offering more flexible work schedules to delay them leaving the workforce. These individuals have a ton of experience and expertise that they really respond well to being publicly recognized for those contributions that they've made to the organization, and really appreciate symbolic awards that honor their experience. And on the point of their experience, incentivizing and recognizing their skills is a real motivator. They've worked a long time, and I think it's beyond just sharing their knowledge transfer. It's a feeling of giving back and being able to share those with their skills with the next generation is really important for them, but also really important to a hospital as well, to make sure that you have trained individuals. So having, providing the time and opportunity for your baby boomers to really mentor others is a great way of holding on to them a little bit longer, in addition to offering, some more flexible work schedules and some benefits that are attractive to keep them on board a little bit longer.
And Lori, what I would add to that last slide is that, most workers today are looking to understand how it is they make a difference every day at work. And baby boomers have been doing this for a long time. Nurses, they may have moved around the organization a bit, but essentially they're a frontline caregiver. And that's obviously a great way and how they make a difference. But looking at the mentoring and training opportunities that exist for this unique group is another way that they can, again, make a substantial difference in your organization, and ultimately, provide them another way to feel valued by your organization. So again, a great opportunity, as Lori mentioned here, with your experienced workforce at the baby boomer level, being engaged in a mentoring and training process with your younger workers. So back to you, Lori.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So Gen Xers. Jim sent me a study actually yesterday that was just released by MetLife, and it was really interesting. And it talked about Gen Xers and how they are actually more likely to be actively disengaged with their jobs than boomers or millennials. Only 62% felt respected in the workforce. They find that their employers are more focused on retaining those boomers and millennials than in looking at them and offering them ways to have exposure with senior leadership and different career opportunities that will retain them. They feel like the neglected middle child. And so that's something that I thought was really interesting. More than 75% of Gen Xers right now have children, nearly half of both a parent who's over 65 and a child. So they have a lot, they're in a really busy stage of their life, and they're in their career earning prime earning years of their life. So for this group, while they would like to have to feel respected as everyone would, one of the big motivators for this group is pay. You really do need to pay them competitively to keep them on board. Offering career mobility and skills training is really important with this group, because they're starting to think about retirement. Benefits such as savings matching programs can really help this sandwich generation to prepare for retirement and stay with you for the longer term. And in fostering a work culture where they feel respected, where they feel valued by both their peers and management for their wealth of experience and skills is important. In terms of rewarding this group, a mix of symbolic awards, gift cards, and brand name items, that blend in your recognition rewards programs is most likely to resonate with this group. Jim, do you have anything else to say about Gen Xers?
What I would add to that, and this goes back to the respect or lack of respect that many Gen Xers feel, and they're actually in what they call a technology gap, in that, as baby boomers, there wasn't a lot of technology available. When you get to millennials and Gen Z, they grew up with technology, but Gen Xers were sort of in the middle. And again, one reason they feel disrespected is they don't have the same technological expertise as their younger peers. And this, again, is an opportunity for healthcare organizations to look at this unique group and help them upgrade their skills in the area of technology. Again, that may be another retention strategy that you consider, again, with a very experienced element of your workforce, but one that, as Lori alluded to, may sort of feel like that disregarded middle child. So back to you, Lori.
Okay, thanks, Jim. So the next group that we want to talk a little bit about are the millennials, and I'm actually going to spend a little more than a little time. We're going to devote a bit more screen time to this group because they will make up 50% of our workforce next year, and they are 2 times more likely to job hop as any other generation. Millennials really care about flexibility, transparency, and personalization. Their average tenure is 2.4 years, which is lower than I think the average is closer to 4 years for overall for employees in the workforce for staying with the same company. And more than any other generation, they really want to work for a respected organization that is making a difference. Some other things that are really important to millennials in terms of retaining and actually attracting this group as well is debt relief. So they have large loans in many cases, and so ways that you can have stipends and induce them to stay with signing and relocation bonuses, loans that you forgive after a certain number of years they're with you. Those types of things will make you attractive to luring these educated young professionals. In terms of workplace plans that they care about, millennials have different priorities than their parents' generation. They really do value time and experiences over money. So things like that you can think of are like sabbaticals. So perhaps reducing salary over 4 years, allowing them to take a 5th year off and do traveling or humanitarian work. That's been shown to be one really successful way of retaining this group. This group, mental and financial counseling, there's a lot of stress, as you know, in the healthcare sector, and the more you can show that you care and want to support them as they work through, personal and professional challenges. Those things are really appreciated by this group. A gym membership, staying healthy and fit, and providing time and gym memberships to let them do that. A lot of them are starting to have families, so daycare options and maternity leave enhancements will be really attractive to this group. And then in terms of like training and promotions, it doesn't necessarily have to be an upward career ladder with this group. They love learning new skills. So lateral advancements, offering them different job experiences and training in different areas, particularly in the technology area as we get into more automation and robotics. So those types of technical skills training will be really attractive to this group. Employee referral incentives, offering them incentives to refer friends is a great way of letting you know that they actually are happy where they are, and is another little thing that you can add to your retention strategy. And then in general, like personalized thanks and awards. This group, as we'll talk a little bit about more in the next slide, loves recognition. They thrive on recognition. They've grown up in a time where they only know technology and social media, and social media in particular has created a huge need for recognition for this group. When they post things, they expect it to be liked and shared immediately. And while media kind of labels this group needy in some respects, it's because they are fueled by recognition. So more than any other segment of our population, this group needs recognition. And so the more you can provide frequent recognition, the greater your chance that they'll be happy and want to stay with you.
And Lori, let me interject here on that point. And again, I get the sense that we're probably preaching to the choir on millennials and their need for recognition. But a couple of aspects of that. Millennials, while they crave recognition, what they're really craving is, how is it that they make a difference every day at work? Whether that's, through contributing or living your core values, or contributing to a goal or a project or a strategic plan or a specific, key performance indicator. Again, for a millennial, it's all about making that difference at work. And then when it comes to recognition, it really cannot be contrived. They'll see right through that. It really needs to be authentic and genuine. And that really speaks to something that we'll touch on here in a moment or two. And that is, again, how we help your managers, understand these generational differences, as well as, in that process, helping them become, essentially better practitioners of recognition. And again, that goes back to, your core values and your goals, and ensuring that recognition, is linked back to those, key elements of your culture and where you're going as a company. Yeah. So, Lori, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it kind of fits in nicely with my point about work-life integration. We talk a lot about work-life balance, and sure, everyone wants to have that balance, but in reality, it is hard to find that balance. Some days they're more balanced than others, but the work-life integration is more that millennials want to feel like their managers care about them, that they know that about what's going on in their life outside of the office, and they really appreciate when managers meet with them face to face and try and develop that rapport, because that relationship with the manager is really the number one thing that will keep your millennials with you. If they feel like their manager's got their back and has their shoulder, is a shoulder that they can lean on and is there for them and knows them as both a person and a performer, that integration is more important than other generations that we've seen. And then just my last point here before I'll hand it over to Jim shortly is, as I mentioned, it's not necessarily a ladder, but a lattice, different opportunities. So giving them job shadowing opportunities, cross-training them, and skills development, those things will all keep them motivated. In my perspective, as much as the media talks about millennials being lazy, they will work so hard for you if they feel like your organization has a purpose that's aligned with their values, as Jim mentioned, and where they feel that they have clear expectations and have a really good relationship with their manager. All those things will create a really positive environment of ongoing appreciation, and it will really help you hold on to these talented young people. And then in terms of Gen Zers, they're just starting to enter the workforce right now, and they are more conservative than previous generations. Job stability is important to them, as well as debt repayment is huge to this group. So those are kind of the non-starters right now. That debt repayment is really key to getting a talented group of well-educated young people into your hospitals. So salary and benefits tie into that. Again, mentoring and feedback, as with millennials, they grew up in a time when they, were coached through sports, through clubs and different activities. So they're used to being coaching, and they expect that in the workforce. And they like to be recognized publicly. Privacy is not an issue with this group. They like public recognition. They value experiences. They like gift cards and brand name items primarily. What is kind of interesting about this group is their need for technology tools. And as much as millennials, pride themselves in being technology savvy, which they are more than, my generation, Gen X and boomers, this group is even more tech savvy, and they are going to demand technology tools that they can use to be more efficient, more productive, and be better communicators. So I think hospitals in every industry really is going to see this group entering the workforce and being surprised at the technology that we're using and demanding more tools that they can use to communicate in the way that they're used to communicating.
And Lori, what I would add there is that, first of all, we're still learning about Gen Z. And I think, over the next few years, we're going to see companies like MetLife and Gallup and others, do the kind of research that they've done on millennials. And as we just saw with with MetLife releasing on March 25th, a study that they've done around Gen X. So I guess, on Gen Z, more to come.
Yeah. Yep. Time will tell. So Jim, I'm going to hand it over to you now to talk a little bit about some low-cost, actionable ways that you can use some of those insights to take back to the office right away and mix up your recognition and retention programs.
All right. Sounds good, Lori. Number one, and again, with perks and benefits, you really know what is going to differentiate you in the workplace or in the, in your market, if you will, for talent. And again, the point of this is take those points of differentiation and really promote them, whether it's through social media, whether it's through your existing workforce, as you rely on them to help you, recruit and attract talent. But again, use everything that you already know about what is unique about you as an organization and promote that in the context of, again, attracting, engaging, and retaining talent. Onboarding, very important to, to retaining and engaging employees. And as you can see here on the right, most employees don't think that's done very well. And, sort of an alarming number, and you can probably quantify it better than us in terms of what it actually costs you when a nurse leaves, but 17%, leave in the first 12 months. And my sense is if you're in San Francisco or New York, as an example, that's a very, it could be a six-figure number, obviously less in rural areas. But again, with onboarding, again, I think, one of the key elements of onboarding is, do you have the tools in place that allow you to be proactive versus reactive in terms of looking at early or leading indicators that turnover may occur? In that, are you getting feedback or asking for feedback, from a new hire at a week, at 30 days, at other intervals that allow them to give you the kind of feedback that could say, hey, we might have an issue here. And again, a big part of that is the work experience or the manager experience not matching up with the brand promise that you made when they were hired. So again, use the tools that you have at your disposal, as well as encouraging, strong social interaction, events, new hire events, things of that nature. Your social tools or your, internal, HRIS system, if that allows for ways to, allow for, greater social interaction and, developing of friends at work, again, helping or having technology that enables more of that to occur, can lead to a boost in job satisfaction, which of course we know leads to, to greater retention. Train to retain. Again, we've talked a lot about training, career latticing, things of that nature that, that allow employees to, to move around within an organization, that they're, that aren't necessarily promotions, but again, learning a new set of skills that allow them to, to move into other areas, of the organization. And again, as you can see here, Health Research Institute did a survey that, basically said that, healthcare workers are more likely than most other industries to stick with an employer, if training is offered at work. And again, you may be doing a lot of that already, but this, just underscores the importance of it. And again, going back to, some of the Gen Xers and baby boomers, there's a lot of deep smarts embedded in those two workforce generations, and finding ways to extract that knowledge, finding ways to, to get them to job shadow, to cross train, to mentor. And again, we mentioned that earlier, but, that's all part of, this holistic approach to, creating greater career opportunities, for millennials and Gen Z, while helping Gen X and baby boomers, really again make a difference at work. And then the last part of it we're going to get into here is recognition, and again, how to put in place strategies and practices that are inexpensive, inclusive, in that they have the ability to touch your entire workforce, and that are impactful. And again, as we said early on, there's no industry that understands or that that has more pressure, if you will, on what a dollar will buy than healthcare. So again, we're looking at helping you look at ways to leverage non-monetary and social recognition, again, which don't have a cost associated with them, to help you build that culture of appreciation and focus on your core values. Again, with recognition as one of the tools. And as we look at how you practice this, peer-to-peer is very critical. It allows employees a formal way to say thank you to each other, more often publicly or privately. And it can also be tied in with, patient feedback. The mobile aspect of our social recognition tools, allow you to promote birthdays and service anniversaries, regardless of the device that you're on, welcome new team members, and again, our system enables pulse surveys, going back to, checking in with, with new hires or employees, on a more frequent basis with very simple pulse surveys, as a best practice. And this is both validated by SHRM and by RPI, which is Recognition Professionals International, which is a nonprofit group for the recognition industry. And again, a minimum of 70% of your recognition should be non-monetary. And I've seen that go as high as 90%, as an example, with a healthcare organization, with approximately 50,000 employees. They were having close to 500,000 recognition events a year. And over 90% of that was non-monetary. And non-monetary is really foundational. It's inclusive. You're never asking anyone to make a value judgment when they say thank you to somebody because it's going to cost money. So that's a very important aspect of recognition. This is sort of an interesting YouTube video that you can click out to. And it's, part of its focus is the 10 to 5 rule of recognition. And Again, this was actually started in a hospital, healthcare organization. And the 10-foot rule is that if you're within 10 feet of a coworker or a patient for that matter, you should smile. And if you're within 5 feet, some kind of a greeting or a hello is very critical. And just with this simple practice, it was a much more civil place to work. It was friendly. Patient satisfaction scores increased. And I would guess that that's a result of having a more satisfied workforce, because we all know that satisfied workers are more likely to deliver higher levels of patient satisfaction. And this resulted, again, because of satisfied patients and more patient referrals, to that specific healthcare organization. And we're going to wrap up here real quick with a quick story about a 24,000 employee healthcare system that had identified some of the challenges they were having with recognition, especially around millennials and Gen Z. They really didn't have a way to say recognition on a daily or more frequent basis. They had a traditional service award program that started at 5 years, which we all know touches about 15% of your workforce. So with 24,000 employees, they were probably touching, whatever that is, 3,600 employees a year. So again, just a small subset of their overall workforce. Another key attribute is that they didn't have any more money to spend. And again, I can't underscore enough how, we recognize the challenges that healthcare has with, finding ways to invest in these kind of tools. And so, as we took a step back and looked at their current recognition program, we were able to layer in a 1-year award, which is just a simple, very inexpensive set of stickers that an employee can place on a coffee mug, a travel coffee mug, a laptop. Again, visible in the workplace, but more importantly, it provided the manager a tool at 1 year to pause and celebrate with that employee and note the contributions that they had made in their first year. Again, in the context of the core values, patient satisfaction, essentially how they were making a difference at work. And again, similarly with the 3-year award, again, very inexpensive, visible in the workplace. In this case, an award quality badge retractor. I don't know of a healthcare system that doesn't require an employee to have a badge. So with an award quality badge retractor, carrying your branding, again, very visible, but it also, puts a tool in the hands of the manager to present on that anniversary date and pause and reflect again on the contributions the employee has made. And at 5 through 20, they use a high impact presentation package that has a Lucite certificate holder in it, as well as a stylus pen. So we include something utilitarian, again, because that's going to be very visible in the workplace. And at 25 and above, we use our acrylic numerals, which are imprinted on the back with with custom branding associated with the healthcare system. And again, that's also packaged in a box along with a stylus pen. And then again, for no net new dollars to their service award investment, we were able to include a peer-to-peer and social recognition system in the same solution. And again, with the software solution that we implemented, it has the ability through HRIS integration to welcome new hires. Every new hire scrolls in the social tool, enabling peers to comment and welcome. It really aligns recognition to the hospital's core values, and peers are able to give and receive thanks. Essentially, any employee can send thank you to any manager, any employee. So top down, bottom up, peer to peer, thank you, all captured within the system. An employee literally can go on their smartphone and with 2 taps on their smartphone through single sign-on, be sending a thank you in less than a minute to a peer. The system captures all of this recognition that's occurring for reporting and analytics. And again, through HRIS integration, our clients never have to manually manipulate a file to send to a supplier. The HRIS integration does all of the heavy lifting. And again, we did this for this healthcare system with no net new investment to their existing service award budget. And so, it begs the question, are you getting the best value for your service award investment? You're probably using a third party. My guess is that probably, more than 90% of healthcare systems use a third party, and, where they get, some level of expertise, some level of experience from that supplier. They maybe get some software, obviously awards, award fulfillment, account management, customer service. They may or may not be getting analytics like you get with our system. But again, in all likelihood, you're using a third party for service awards, but are you really maximizing your investment by being able to include peer-to-peer and social tools? Oop. Let me go back here. I got a little bit ahead of myself. And again, with our approach, frequent recognition, touching every employee from the day they start until the day they leave, and in a very personal and high-touch manner. And again, Gallup releases the annual State of the Workplace study that they do. And essentially, this is saying that if you're in the top quartile of engagement scores versus the bottom quartile of engagement scores, these are some of the results that you may see. Fewer patient safety incidents, higher patient satisfaction, which of course we know impacts your HCAP scores for your Medicare reimbursement. So again, this just exemplifies, what can happen when you have higher engagement. And of course, there are numerous studies out there that document the impact that recognition has on engagement. And so again, sort of the commercial part of our presentation is all about, taking your existing service award investment and for no additional dollars, providing you a world-class mobile optimized, social recognition and peer-to-peer platform, along with measurement and analytics, to tie in with a very holistic recognition approach. I want to thank you again for taking the opportunity to listen to Lori and me, and I'm going to turn it back to Lori for closing remarks.
Oh, great, Jim. Thanks very much. We do actually have a couple more, just a shameless plug. We do also do personalized onboarding programs and gifts. If that's something that we piqued your interest in our presentation, we'd be happy to provide you with a demo of how that works and some examples of different welcome gifts that we put together for employees. We also, we touched on the presentation packaging, but we absolutely have the best, highest quality, most personalized packaging in the industry, and we'd be happy to send a sample out to anyone who'd be interested in seeing what our presentation packaging is and why managers love it so much, as well as employees. And then, as you know, Hospital Week is coming up, May 12th to 17th, I believe it is. And so we have a number of really simple, low-cost, healthcare-oriented employee appreciation gifts. We'll customize stickers for you for $2 per sticker. We'll put your branding and any kind of messaging that you have that you would like on that for you to be able to give out to employees. We do a customized pop socket, which is really popular with younger employees, but employees of all generations at Practical. Little fun little piece with a thank you message. We'll do customized badge retractors, and then we are offering a personalized initials journal, which is quite nice for some of your more senior employees, where you can personalize it with their initial as well as your corporate branding on a nice journal. So there's just a few little things that I'll just kind of close the presentation with. We also have a lot of really great free recognition resources that you're able to access from our website. You can download them. We've got a number of posters that you can print out, and we'll even customize them for you for no charge. We do a weekly blog on all kinds of recognition related topics, so you could sign up for our blog. We have a new program right now, what's called Random Acts of Recognition, and we're amplifying the recognition efforts of our clients, as well as just featuring kind feel-good deeds that people are doing to thank others for all kinds of reasons, inside and outside of the workplace. And so each week we feature 3 really nice random acts of recognition stories, and the story that gets the most votes, that person receives a $50 Amazon gift card to pay thanks forward. And we're partnering with the LLS, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, on their Man and Woman of the Year campaign. So there'll be every week over the next 10 weeks, there'll be a story of a survivor, a fighter, a volunteer, or a doctor who's involved with the LLS and how they've made a difference to others from their work and support. So that's kind of the close of the presentation. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about us, we'd be happy to provide a 15 short consultation, provide a demo, or provide a quote to you. If you're looking for SHRM credit, if you're listening right now, I have your information. I will send you the SHRM credit at the end of this presentation. If you're listening in as a webcast, once you download the presentation, I will have your information and I will send that out within 48 hours to you, so you have that 1 PDC SHRM credit. So I think that's all we have to say, right, Jim?
I believe so. Great job, Lori, and hope to hear from you as healthcare recognition practitioners, HR practitioners, in terms of how we might evaluate what you're currently doing and potentially have the opportunity to share more about what we do.
Great. Thank you. I hope everyone has a great day. Take care.
So